Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 2024 Distinguished Citizen Award Dinner presented by the Heart of New England Council, Scouting America. My name is AJ Torigny, and it is my honor to serve as the Master of Ceremonies tonight. To get things started, I'd like to ask you all to please rise. I now call on the 4 local scouts to the stage. These young men are part of the Order of the Arrow, Scouting's National Honor Society. Please welcome Elon Cohen, Ben Fuller, Elliot Murray, and Connor Moore. They will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and the Scout Oath of Law.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Please join me in the recital of the Scout Law. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. Moving on to the recital of the Scout Oath. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, to obey the Scout Law, to help other people at all times, keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight.
Oh, please be seated. You guys are relax. Before we begin our meal, I'd like to invite Mark Barberwitz, the Scout Executive and CEO of the Heart of New England Council, to come forward to give the invocation.
Thank you. If you join me in a moment of reverence, the Scout is reverent. Heavenly Father, we thank you for our scouting volunteers and the community leaders gathered here tonight. We are thankful for the many opportunities to serve young people who inspire us in so many ways. Help us and guide us as we continue our important mission. Father, we thank you for the food that has been prepared for us. May it nourish our bodies and help us do your will. Please bless and protect those here tonight and their families. In your name we pray. Amen. Behind me on the screen are a few slides about local scouting, the local scouting program here in central Massachusetts. The number of youth we serve, our 2 great camp properties, the number of Eagle Scouts over the past few years. But those numbers don't tell the full story. Those are just the numbers. Scouting is much more than just a youth program. It's a way of life that instills valuable life skills and character-building experiences. Scouting teaches young people the importance of service and leadership and adventure. Through hands-on activities and outdoor experiences, Scouts learn to become self-reliant, to work as a team, and to develop a deep appreciation for nature and the world around them. The benefits of scouting extend far beyond the individual person. When you support scouting, you're also investing in the strength and vitality of our local community. Scouts give back to the community through service projects, food drives, and other acts of volunteerism. This not only helps address the pressing needs, but also fosters a sense of civic engagement and social responsibility in the next generation of leaders. I've seen firsthand the transformative power of scouting. I've watched shy, timid young people blossom into confident, capable individuals who are eager to make a positive difference. I've witnessed scouts working together to clean up parks, build playgrounds, and support the elderly. I'm always inspired by the sense of camaraderie, resilience, and compassion that permeates every scouting activity. That's why when you support scouting, you make a difference. When you donate to Scouting, you're not just investing in a program, you're investing in the future of our community. You're helping to shape the character of young people who will one day become the teachers, the entrepreneurs, and the civic leaders of tomorrow. We appreciate your support and the impact that will continue to grow. Thank you so much for your generous support and your generous donations. I now would like to invite our Council Vice President, Mr. David Beausoleil, to please come forward for your remarks.
Mark, thank you. In fact, as I was coming in tonight, I thought that this was going to be a little bit of a birthday celebration. I don't know if you guys are aware that one of Leominster's most famous sons was born 250 years ago. His name is John Chapman. Actually, he's better known as Johnny Appleseed, one of America's most notable horticulturalists. So happy birthday, Johnny. That being said, I know AJ is panicking a little bit that I'm up here. AJ, obviously a big thank you to all that you're doing for us. I feel very safe up here. I don't know how many times you guys have been in a room with an all-American pistol shooter. AJ, one of his credentials is that talk about a premier sport as a graduate of Ohio University. So AJ, congratulations on that accomplishment. The only thing I've got against AJ is the Ohio University bit. If he could only have gone to a school that wasn't just a big football powerhouse. Great school, though. That being said, Mark, thank you for those comments. And this evening would not be possible without all of you and the generous support from each of you tonight. Your partnership has direct positive impact on the lives of thousands of boys and girls here in Central Massachusetts. Thanks to you, we can continue to deliver our values-based youth character and leadership program. We gratefully acknowledge the sponsors who were so vital and have played such a big role in making this event a reality. And I'd like to single out Enterprise Bank, Leominster Credit Union, First Financial, Rollstone Bank and Trust, Creedon and Company, IC Credit Union, Research Results, Alario Associates CPA, Fidelity Bank, and Jane Morgan and Ray Quinlan. Being a retired, or some of my former colleagues would say reformed banker, with that list, it does seem like a banking convention, doesn't it? But again, thank you. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for supporting, continuing to support Scouting, whether it's through financial contributions, volunteering, or simply spreading the word about the incredible work Scouts do day in and day out. Your involvement makes a real and a lasting difference. Together, we can ensure that the values of Scouting continue to shape and empower the next generation. So again, thank you. A listing of previous Distinguished Citizens honorees can be found in the back of your program. And we're fortunate tonight and graced by the presence of some of our past recipients. It is my honor to try to acknowledge them, so please stand when I call out your name. Hold your applause to the end. James Adams. Martin Connors. Barbara Mahoney. And I don't know if John Zarella made it. He was hustling, trying to get back from New York. John, did you end up making it? Again, in his absence. So thank you to our past DCAD honorees for their continued leadership and the positive impact on our local communities. Moving on, Scouting teaches youth to be participating citizens in the community and to give back to the community and to serve others. If you are an elected official that is serving the public, would you please stand? I thought we had some of our state reps a little bit earlier. Guess not. But we should really honor all of our elected officials and for all of the selfless work that they do on our behalf. So even though they're not here, thank you. With that, AJ, let me turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much. All right, here we go. Again, thank you all for being here tonight, and thank you, David. At an event such as this, it takes a tremendous amount of planning, organization, and enthusiasm to accomplish. We'd like to recognize the tireless work of the DCAT Event Organizing Committee for the outstanding efforts. When I call your name, please stand. The one and only, and Mr. Chair, Jim Adams. Catherine Dearborn, who, by the way, celebrated 50 years working at Rollstone Bank and Trust just recently. Hey, Catherine, nice to meet you, by the way. Yeah, I've always heard your name. Nice to meet you. Mary Beth Jokela, of course. Mary Beth. Barbara Mahoney. Her second in command, Kelly Rooney. And by the way, she told me Leominster Credit Union is having a rebrand. No one knows what it looks like, but Kelly gave me an insight the other day, Barbara, just so you know. And one important individual isn't here tonight. He's a second father to me, and his wife, Maureen McShee, is a mother to me as well. Bill McShee, please. I was actually just on the phone with him, and he wants to extend his many thanks to Sharon and Jim for the work that they do in their community. And he really, Sharon, really appreciates everything that you do for Fitchburg. The Distinguished Citizen Award is presented by the Heart of New England Council to individual community leaders who provide outstanding civic service to adults and or youth in the community. Those who receive the award personify what the Boy Scouts of America stand for: good citizenship, outstanding moral fiber, and a dedication to others, and for living their lives by the Scout oath and law. Their lives serve to inspire our youth to lead, accept responsibility, and care about the principles and causes beyond self-interest. Honoring distinguished citizenship delivers a message that a character counts and puts into place guideposts to lead young men and women into adulthood. Their tireless leadership, energy, and vitality have been a true inspiration to all within their community. This evening, we have distinguished pleasure of recognizing two worthy individuals, Sharon Bernard and Jim Holman. At this time, I'd like to call on Mr. Kelly Morgan to please come forward to formally recognize the first of our distinguished citizen recipients. Kelly.
Good evening. This is one of the most remarkable honors that I have in all my years here at living in Fitchburg. I'm from the great state of Wyoming. And out there, we have a lot of distance between people, literally. And when I came here, one of the first individuals that I met was Sharon. She was my student. She came into my Shakespeare class. And she was, I believe, one of the first two people who entered it into the classroom, which was below Chartwell's at Fitchburg State. And you could tell she was prepared. She had laid everything out, organized, and then she looked up and she had this, as you all know, her really great smile. From then on, I needed to develop what was then called the AmeriCulture Arts Festival. And that ran for 5 years, where we had a number of events in Fitchburg and in Leominster and around the region. And after Sharon had taken a couple of my classes and we got to know each other, I asked her to give me a hand. And Sharon, if you know Sharon, you know she's organized, she's thoughtful, she's caring, she kept me in line. I'd get a little enthusiastic, and sometimes my Irish would get up and she would just go, "Now, Kelly," and she would keep me in my place. But none of the things that I have done, or many of the accomplishments that a number of people have made, could not have been done without Sharon. Sharon is the most caring, honest, a person of great integrity, great sense of humor, and she brings people together and gets things done. And I have been blessed. We sometimes say that word just in passing, but it's really been a true blessing to call Sharon my friend and colleague. And many of the students that from across the New England region, not just here in this area, benefited because Sharon was part of developing the Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival, which ran here for 6 years. And she organized it. I did the creative part, but she did the organization. Late at night, we were just sitting here saying, she says, "I don't know how I did it. I had 2 boys. I was going to school full time. I was working full time, and then I was doing AmeriCulture with you." And she did it all with grace, with dignity, and with the love of community. And I'm not going to say anything more because Sharon had asked me. She said, "Kelly, if the longer you talk, the less I have to." So I want her to have her say. But I really want to have us all recognize one of the most wonderful women in this great region of New England, Sharon Bernard.
Hello. So thank you, Kelly, for that generous introduction. And thank you to my sister, Kathy, for being my representative on the Planning Committee, to the committee itself, and my family and friends for your support. You mean the world to me. Thank you to the Scouting America Heart of New England Council for choosing me for this award. And congratulations to Jim Homan in his recognition as well. I am humbled and honored to share this award with you, Jim. So life is not always lived in a straight line. Along whatever circuitous route one takes, there are nuggets of learning and people and experiences which help inform decisions and circumstances in the future. From my first day as a student page at the Fitchburg Public Library in 1971 until I retired in 2022 as library director, I worked at the library part-time, full-time, in one capacity or another in all departments for 45 of those 51 years. Along my path, I first worked at the library where I fell in love with the library and the world of learning it brings to the community. While working as a secretary, I learned to keep my handwriting clear and legible, so others could read it, Joe, and files organized. While working in the bank, I learned about stocks and bonds, the financial world, and how to keep clients' privacy. In the early 1980s, I learned how to operate a computer because at home we had a Robin from Digital, one of the first personal computers. That put me in a position to be the information technology person at the library when they first automated. The new technology person is here today. In the early 1990s, my mentors at the library encouraged me to attend Simmons College for my master's in library and information science. I had received my associate's degree at Mount Wachusett Community College, but I needed a bachelor's degree. Fitchburg State was the logical choice. There was, however, a problem. I was going to have to take a dreaded speech class. I survived, and somehow Kelly, whom you just met, convinced me to act in a theater production he was directing. And I had thought giving a speech was terrifying. Acting was awful. It was a lot of fun, though. From this experience, I learned to be more comfortable in the limelight, to trust myself, and to listen to other actors so I could understand my motivations to reply. Eventually, I was hired to be the department head of catalog when my friend was offered an early retirement. That was my dream job, and I anticipated holding that position until I retired. Once again, however, the path took a turn. During a period of financial uncertainty in the city of Fitchburg, health insurance was not guaranteed for library employees after January 1st, 2009. So I made the difficult decision to leave. But my experiences in the trust department of that bank 30 years earlier helped me secure a position with an investment firm in Worcester. I also kept my hand in the library world, working at Anna Maria College Library a couple of nights a week. My library experience came full circle in October of 2009 when I was named the interim director at the Fitchburg Public Library. I was appointed permanent director in April of 2010. All the lessons learned in my earlier experiences came together. But of course, there are always challenges and opportunities when you take on a leadership role. As the new director, the first challenge was restoring the budget, hours, and staffing levels to gain recertification for the Massachusetts Board of Library Commissioners, the MBLC. We would then be eligible to receive the state aid allocated for the library. Then through collaboration and a lot of hard work, we obtained certification in August 2012. Now we are eligible to apply for a grant from the MBLC's Public Library Construction Grant Program when the application process was announced in 2015. The 142-page application was completed, and I spoke before the City Council, thank you speech class, to convince them to support the project. They overwhelmingly did. The grant was submitted in 2016. The library was placed on a long wait list with a promised grant of $12.5 million. As the library moved closer to the top of that wait list, retirement was getting closer. I realized that doing so before the grant award was offered to the city was the sensible thing to do. That would leave the library's renovation and expansion project with consistent, strong leadership throughout the duration of the project. I retired in May of 2022, and how lucky we are to have a new library director, Deb Hinkle, leading the charge. Thank you, Deb. What I learned from my last position is multifaceted. I learned that we need to stay engaged with community groups, attend events throughout the city, and observe what is happening at the various levels of city government by following city council and various committee and board meetings. I learned that we need to show our children and grandchildren how to be caring and empathetic, attributes that make customer service interactions satisfying for everyone. The staff needs to be approachable by practicing acceptance, offering a smile, and being non-judgmental. One never knows what the other person is facing. I learned that we need to value our libraries as a safe place to learn and play and share experiences. The most important lesson, however, is that the library is more than just a building housing collections. The library is the people, both the staff and the patrons. You cannot have one without the other. But my path began at home with my parents and siblings, in school with my teachers and friends, and as a Brownie and a junior Girl Scout. My troop leaders taught the lessons of the Girl Scout Pledge, lessons in being kind, courteous, truthful, and to borrow from the Boy Scouts to be prepared. All the various experiences along my path helped prepare me for each step of the journey. So thank you again for this esteemed award. I accept it on behalf of my colleagues, my mentors, my educators, and my family, who all taught me that sometimes a backward step teaches something that helps us move forward and prepares us for the next step. Thank you.
Congratulations, Sharon, for the well-deserved honor. At this time, I'd like to call on Mr. Joseph Giovino. Did I say that correct? Giovino. Steve Dinatale is upset that I pronounced that wrong, probably over there. To please come forward to formally recognize tonight's second Distinguished Citizen recipient, Mr. Jim Holman.
Good evening. Congratulations to Sharon for getting the special award for a very special person. Having worked with Jim for 40-plus years, first at the old Safety Fund bank that doesn't exist. Some of you in the room will remember it. Most of you probably wouldn't. It's been since June 30th of 1996 when Safety Fund ceased to exist. And for the last 24, 25 years, we worked together at now First Financial. You know, I have a unique opportunity to work with Jim. And if we look at the program and you see all the different boards and committees that Jim has been on during these years, and you look at it through a very narrow lens, because there's much more to Jim that doesn't record itself on the pages. The important thing to remember is Jim is a very committed individual. He's committed to the organizations that he served, and he wants to help as many people as he can. Jim, I don't know if there's anybody in this room or anybody in the Fitchburg-Leominster community that doesn't like Jim. I have never met a person that doesn't like Jim. And it's probably an understatement. I think everybody that knows Jim knows what I'm talking about. He will do anything to help anybody at any time. A couple of things that doesn't show up on that brochure there. Jim also, in the past, he coached 4th, 5th, and 6th grade boys for a couple of years. Jim was a cancer survivor at a very early age. I don't know how many people knew that. And through his perseverance and intensity and dedication, he survived it. Then Jim became a single father, raising his daughter from day one. And that's a remarkable feat for anybody, and very commendable about Jim, and shows his dedication to his daughter, dedication to the community, dedication to his job. A couple of other points about Jim that I have to tell you. As a senior vice president and an investment officer, he helps manage money for clients. You know, Jim, in the past, one of his clients asked him, couldn't get out and needed help buying groceries. Jim went out and bought groceries for this woman. Also, during that period of time, or the period of time that we worked together, Jim also would go see his clients in nursing homes, in the hospitals, making many trips. He helped move people. He helped clean out a person's house when they were moving. Who does that? Jim Holman. You know, anybody that asks him for a favor, Jim is right there to help. And he's demonstrated on many levels the times he's committed and done things for people. And I know he doesn't like me to talk about it or even mention it. In fact, Jim started out saying, could you just give a brief introduction? And then he knows I'm a little bit of a talker. And then about 2 weeks ago, he says, you got 5 minutes. And then as we drew closer last Wednesday or Thursday, he said, "You got 2 minutes." And now he's hitting his watch. I do want to leave you with a quote that it's all about Jim. Gandhi said many times, the best way to find yourself is in losing it in service to others. And that's Jim Holman. His service and commitment to the community, to everybody in the room, anybody that asks him to do anything. And Jim, the floor is yours.
Good evening. It's past my bedtime. We got spin class at 5:15 tomorrow morning. I hope most of you will be here. So I want to get out of here by 4:30 a.m. if that's okay. So we're gonna speed this up. But first, I want to thank Joe. Joe's been a great boss for almost my entire career, a good friend, and he hasn't fired me ever. So I want to thank Joe for being a great friend. I want to thank First Financial for coming. I got so many people from the YMCA here. I got people from the Salvation Army, Rotary Club, the Sundial Senior Housing. Again, thanks everybody for coming. Safety Fund Bank. Yep, right, Pat Cronin. Pat's here. Yeah. So anyway, let's see one thing. I just had a couple notes that I just wanted to see if I can just. There goes my speech. I always wanted to do that. So now, I'm just going to go through the ups and downs of my life. Now, I made some bad choices in my 20s. Mayor, when you were born, I finally turned things around. So, again, I hope you guys take this right. I know I'm on TV. You may pull the award for me tonight. But just a couple of things. First of all, I want to thank the scouting. I go back in the late 80s. I was the managing trustee for managing the investments before we got it to Safety Fund Bank. Great organization. Try to participate in the golf tournament. Sophia's there. I'm always tired. She ran me around ragged today. So anyway, but just a few things. Kind of my life has been, again, an up and down. I was born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Go Steelers. And that's not good. All right. So, but my parents were great supporters. My mom lived to 100. My dad lived to 94. So, I had a great childhood. I did stutter pretty bad as a boy, so that was kind of tough when you make oral presentations and the kids laugh at you, and even one time the teacher laughed at me. But, you get through that, and let me just see. I just don't want to miss anything here. So, anyway, I was kind of a nerd in high school. I studied a lot. Then I went away to college. I went to Lehigh University in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And there I joined a fraternity, which was probably not a bright idea. So my main important role at the fraternity was beer chairman. So I had to make sure we were on tap 24 hours a day for those 3 years, and I did it. So anyway, very, very proud of that. So I got through college, actually graduated, and I couldn't find a job in finance. So for the first 3 months that summer, I worked in a downtown Greyhound bus station in downtown Pittsburgh in a pretty poor section. Now, just one quick story. I remember this one big guy. He must have been, 350 pounds, looked like a football player. He comes up and asks me to buy a ticket to Cleveland. So I, sir, here's your ticket. I was behind a fence good time, and so I gave him his ticket, told him gate number 10, leaves in a half hour. He comes up an hour later and goes, the bus hasn't come yet. I go, oops, I told him the wrong gate. So the next bus is in 14 hours. Have a seat, sir. So I thought he was going to kill me, but luckily we were behind a big partition, and I could sneak out. There's a back way to sneak out. Right, Sophia? So anyway, but then I moved on, and my first job was 3 months in September of 1978. I worked for Security Bank and Trust Company in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. I was doing half investments, half taxes. So I have two really, I don't say, boys, just keep your ears shut, all right? But anyway, two stupid decisions in my time at Security Bank. So I remember the first one, our softball team won the championship. So we went out and celebrated, and somebody drank too much. And I know we're on TV, sorry about this, but anyway. So I woke up in my softball uniform in my bed, which I can understand that, and I'm looking at, there's glass all in my uniform. I go, what? Weird. I said, oh, crap. I ran out the parking lot. My car was totally smashed. Both windows were broken. I'd hit a pole. Luckily, it was on the passenger side. Okay, so anyway, again, stupid decision, don't drink and drive. So then the next thing, so my last year at Security Bank in Stroudsburg, because I probably was time to leave, so I was doing half taxes, and the problem was that I was working a lot of overtime in taxis, and I was working all kinds of nights and weekends, so the head of our department said, Jim, we're going to have a nice party for you. You've worked really hard during tax season. Oh, great. So he came up and he said, we're going to have a party in the office after the bank closes. So it was like 5 o'clock or whatever, and he had this fish house punch, which is really strong. Somebody drank too much. So I don't remember everything, but I woke up, at the time there was a loan officer, it was my roommate. So I woke up the next day and I asked him, did I do anything inappropriate at the party for me? And he said, yeah, you really did. So anyway, boys, listen. So anyway, I found out later, so I threw up in his office. It really smelled the next day. And so it was not good. And the present time, Bob is cool. But anyway, the present time was Glenn Forney. Supposedly, I had my arm around the president, called him Glenny Baby. His name was Glenn Forney, just joking around. And if you know this guy, you wouldn't do it. So sorry, Sophia. But anyway, so those were bad choices. So I said, in 1981, I better go to Fitchburg. So I got to see Joe. And I remember my first interview with Joe. Joe goes, what I remember, 2 questions. He said, do I smoke? I said, no. In those days, you could smoke in the office. Second, will you coach basketball? I said, yes, you're hired. So this is great. I'm going up to Fitchburg. Now, Pat Cronin might remember this story. So my last really bad decision. So anyway, and then I turned around. So St. Patrick's Day, 1982. Marty might remember this. So anyway, I'm sitting in my office. It's during the week. So somebody comes, Jim, we're going across the street to Tweets for a few drinks to celebrate St. Patrick's Day. Great. I'm there. I'm a quarter Irish. So that was like at 5 o'clock. And next thing you know, it's midnight. And guess somebody drank too much. So there's a guy, Peter Armbruster, a lot of you guys would know. And Peter's not the great athlete. I thought I was a little better at the time. But Peter, we're in our suits. He's chasing me down Main Street trying to get my keys so I don't drive. So you can imagine this is like probably 12 or 1 in the morning. And so he pulls out his shoulder. So Peter goes, his shoulder pops out once in a while. So he was upset. I said, Peter, I'm sorry. So he drove me up to Burbank Hospital to put his shoulder back into place. So I'm there in the waiting room and going, he's not going to be able to drive. They're going to have to give him some painkillers. Hey, I'll run down in my suit and get my car in Fitchburg. So anyway, I run down from Burbank Hospital to get my car, end up going down Main Street the wrong way. I hit a parked car. I got arrested. I gave the policeman my YMCA card when he asked for my ID. And so I'm in the police station arrested. So I call Peter. Peter thinks I'm still waiting for him in the waiting room in the hospital. So I go, Peter, can you bail me out of jail when you get out? So Peter comes, it was $40. We just scraped up enough change. So he got me out. Actually, I drove home to Gardner. We both lived in Gardner. I shouldn't have been driving. But I got a .24 too. That's 3 times the limit. So, but I drove home, and then I come back to work the next day, and I have to be in court at 8:30. So I'm hungover. So I told Joe I'll be right back about 8:20. I got to go across the street to go to court. So anyway, so I go across the street to court. I probably pleaded not guilty. I go, fingers crossed. Only Peter knows what happened. Then next thing you know, in the Sentinel is an afternoon paper. Then time. 4 arrested for drunk driving on St. Patrick's Day. I go, crap. And I was on it, so I had to go tell Joe. Joe told his boss. His boss told the president. Luckily, I didn't get fired. But anyway, that was my really, sorry, guys. But anyway, don't drink and drive. That was my last, stupid episode. Then, let's see, later, 1983, we had a good summer league basketball program. I tore my ACL pretty bad. So it was like almost dangling. So I had to have a lot of staples, and there was about a 6-month rehab, so that wasn't fun. But in 1986, we had a group of the Y. I would probably run, not a great runner, but probably run 6 miles 3 or 4 times a day. So we decided we'd get a bus from the YMCA to run the Boston Marathon. So that was great. That was 1986. So I ran the Boston Marathon with a bunch of friends. At that point, you don't have to qualify. I just ran at the back of the pack. So half the runners didn't even have numbers like we did. So I finished, I know, Sophia. But anyway, you don't believe me, do you? So it was 4 hours and 5 minutes, so I felt good. Then later on in 1986, I wasn't feeling very good, as Joe mentioned in my cancer episode. So I had a bad cough and cold. I went to Dr. Carl Johnson. He was in Fitchburg, and he gave me some medicine. Let's do a little physical here for you. And he said, you have a problem. I didn't realize, but one of my testicles was bigger than the other, but had no pain. So he said, you go right up to Burbank Hospital. I was diagnosed with testicular cancer. So they had to remove the tumor the next Monday. I told Joe I won't be at work on Monday. About a month later, they had to do lymph node surgery. So they cut open your stomach and check your lymph nodes. So luckily, it hadn't spread at that time. So I went through that surgery, and then they do blood tests monthly. But they told me if it comes back, it's going to come back into your lungs. So 4 months later, they called the markers. My blood test was high. So the cancer did spread to my lungs. So 2 days, aggressive form too. So 2 days later, I was in Dana-Farber getting chemo treatment. I'd be in there for 1 full week, at Burbank Hospital for 2 weeks off. So that lasted for about 5 months. So I was pretty, I got through that, and I was actually watching the 1987 Boston Marathon in Dana-Farber and asked the doctor if I could run again. He said, yes, but you're not going to win. I knew I wouldn't win. But anyway, so I said, if I can run the Boston Marathon in 88, they had to remove part of my lung, by the way, and that's one of the things. So it spread to my lung, but it was hopefully with scar tissue, but they removed part of your lung just to make sure the cancer doesn't come back. So anyway, I ran again in 1980. I trained much harder, so I ran in 4 hours. So I felt so good. With 1.5 lungs, I trained harder, so I ran the marathon in 4 hours even. So that was one of my ups and downs. Then in 1989, I think it was November 4th, Tammy's birthday, right? Where's Tammy? November 4th? Yeah, November 4th. So anyway, I got married. Joe told me, don't do it. And actually, he was right. Joe's been always right. So anyway, but one of the great things is 13 months later, my daughter Meredith was born. So God bless Meredith. And so that was the highest up. And then about a year later, my now ex-wife says, I'm moving to another state. Oh, okay, go ahead. So, so my daughter's 1 year old. I got to raise her and said, but we had a lot of fun. So she had loved dance. Jade is here, so she's on a dance competition team. Some of the things you remember, I remember when she was like 3 or 4 and maybe 5, men can't go in the girls' changing room. So I would have to find a secluded hallway just to change her outfits from time to time. But those are the kind of the cool things you remember. She was really good. We ended up going to Las Vegas 4 summers in a row. So dance was a great part of her life, and we had a great time on the weekends. Right, Allie? Yeah. So anyway, that was, let's see, I'm probably rambling here, almost done. St. Patrick's Day, done. We did that. So Yeah, so my daughter, go back to her. So, you know, she was great growing up. She was actually number 3 out of 120 or 130 out of St. Bernard's High School, all A's at Bentley University. She's ranked number 1 out of 285 in her nursing school. Number 1 out of 285. So she's studying to be a nurse practitioner, so really proud, going to graduate in May. Sophia's going to become a doctor, we hear. And so that was pretty cool. So April 14th, Danielle Ray from the Sentinel did a nice article on kind of my life, my ups and downs. Again, didn't mention what I did in the 20s, when I'm in my 20s. But anyway, so it was really nice to get the recognition, to be on the front page of the Sentinel. And then 11 days later, I almost died in a car accident. I was in Denver, and we were actually, I was in the back of an Uber, and we got T-boned. I ended up was unconscious, and I was in the ICU for over 2 weeks. Had 8 broken ribs, broken vertebrae, elevated diaphragm, had some heart issues. So that's been 5 months ago. So I'm getting better. But anyway, so it's funny how you can go from the high on that and the low on that car accident, but still fighting hard on that. And then to tonight, the end of tonight, this has been a wonderful night. So I know there's been a lot of ups and downs, but I'm fine. I've always been positive, always been, you know, as I said, I try to help people out, as Joe had mentioned. You know, if anybody needs anything, let me know. But hopefully, I guess this is on TV. But anyway, if you guys decide to pull my award, I totally understand. But I just want to thank the Scouts. And again, it's great, you know, with Sharon to get that honor. We go way back. And again, thanks to Joe, First Financial, all the Y people, Salvation Army, who else? Sundial people, and Rotary. It's been a great night, and hopefully it'll be a while before I get on a downer, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And Jim mentioned to me earlier that you'll be holding a breathalyzer seminar later in the back room if anyone would like to participate. But thank you, Jim. Thank you very much for the many laughs. Sharon and Jim are leaders who live their lives in service and support of others, who seek to make positive difference in their communities, and we're thrilled to be able to recognize them this evening. Thank you very much, everyone. One final round of applause. This concludes this evening's program. Thank you, everyone, very much for attending. Thank you to the Boy Scouts for having us here tonight, and certainly the Delta Tree. Have a great evening, everyone.